Alright, welcome back, and it's time to blow up some ships. Now, one thing I've noticed in the last week or two, a lot of ships keep logging out in space in LowSec, which is a very big mistake because if you forcefully log out in space, your ship will remain in space for roughly around 30 seconds counting from the moment from which the game has been turned off. So it means that your ship can get scanned down, and obviously if you can get scanned down, you can get destroyed, and there will be a lot of that today. I'll be flying the usual ships that I usually fly. I've been flying the Stratios a lot more often lately than the Enforcer, primarily because I kind of enjoy the Stratios a little bit more, I guess, because of bombards. I mean, I just have a lot more DPS on that thing. Now, the first target for today will be a rattlesnake, and speaking of, the devil in this case would be the Enforcer, but this is the case where I was flying the Enforcer, and I have kind of repurposed the ship to be kind of to have a supportive role. I mean, this thing has very little DPS, it's not the fastest, and I definitely don't have a lot of tank on it, but it can do long range and it can do support, and obviously it can serve as a scanning ship. If I need to do scanning, I can do that easily with the Enforcer. It does that job really well. Now, we also have a bomber here, cloaked, and we're basically waiting for the right moment to engage. Okay, well, seems that the time has arrived to engage. I'm still a little bit far away, but I will get within range pretty quickly. After all, I do have a micro warp drive. And when I say that this thing isn't fast, it's not too slow. I mean, the Stratios is definitely slower, but it is still slow for my taste in cruiser. I've been using a lot of fast cruisers in the past, so I kind of am still used to those. Now, based on the amount of damage that I'm doing on the rattlesnake, it doesn't seem like they have a lot of resistance. I mean, it's to be expected. After all, we are in LowSec and the rattlesnake is doing PvE, so most of these ships will after all be equipped for more DPS and less tank. Now, here I actually should have focused the drones first, because it seems that the drones have managed to reach the bomber, and yeah, we lost the bomber, which means time to pop the damage control, because those drones are definitely going to have bombard, and
warp drive active.
Warp out, because yeah, I'm not getting bombarded by rattlesnake today. Well, that's a fail. My mistake for actually not focusing on the drones first, although would they be able to destroy the drones on time? Maybe I would if I started to engage the drones first. So note to self, next time when we have a rattlesnake, just blow up the drones first if they seem to be fast. Now you might be wondering, okay, that rattlesnake got lucky. Well, they did get lucky, but at the same time they also did get quite unlucky, because very soon after we managed to find the same rattlesnake, and the rattlesnake logged out in space. Well, you know what that means. It's time for some revenge. That is if I can actually scan this thing down. There it is.
Warp drive active.
Now they do have the yellow timer, so they will stay in space for around 2 minutes. And there is the rattlesnake. They're definitely logged out, and let's just open fire. Going to orbit, if the ship wants to move, that is. Well, doing more damage now, which is interesting. Yeah, that's the same rattlesnake from before. They lost the shield, now they are in armor. And they have been destroyed. That's a good catch, and we have managed to avenge the lost bomber. That's pretty funny. Let's take a look at what we have caught here. did look like a red nanocore. Oh, we got scanned as well, that's lovely. 3.6 billion, well, they definitely haven't been full glass. They haven't been full glass. They had some tank, but at the same time, wouldn't be the build that I would personally use for the LowSec. If a ship has a bonus on any resistance, I would probably use 2 builds. One build would have a full DPS build for PvP, for hunting basically, and the second build would be full brick, full chunk, as I usually do with all the ships that do have some interesting resistance profiles on shield or armor. Well, that's a good catch. What I initially thought would be a bad start, actually, and alright, well, sorry for the weird delay. Managed to actually find a Cyansea carrier, and as usual when it comes to a carrier I'm a little bit late, but I was flying the Procurer. This is actually a very fast frigate. I just forgot, is the Procurer
Warp drive active.
as fast
Warp
as the
drive
Gramil,
active.
or is actually this thing faster? It doesn't really matter. Both are very fast ships, but I will manage to get just on time. There is the Cyansea, and I will just get on time to actually appear in the kill mail, I guess, which is fine. And well, there's the CONCORD carrier, and boom, there is the CONCORD carrier wreck. That was to be expected. I could have maybe get here on time, but I saw the ping a little bit late. And at least we get to see some capital ship fireworks. That's a big wreck. That's a big, beautiful explosion blast as well. 123 billion ship, and they had some resistances. They also had a long-range disruptor. Now this ship was completely AFK, and the ship got caught mid-warp because they lost capacitor, and this is why it's very important to actually have the skills for the ships that you're flying, because if you don't have the skills for the ships that you're flying, you will pretty much face the same fate as this Cyansea here. Capped out mid-warp, got scanned, and got blown up. So yeah, good thing is I actually don't fly any capitals anymore. I still have that revelation from eons ago, but I have no skills for it anymore. I completely skilled out of the revelation, by the way. I no longer fly that ship anymore, but it's still there, it exists. And I had a lot of fun with it. Maybe, I actually thought about maybe roaming with the revelation in LowSec. Would be pretty funny actually to do that. You just fit a cloak and just warp somewhere, because you no longer have to worry about that. You no longer have to worry about the siege mode timer. It's pretty easy to just turn it on and turn it off basically. So that might happen next. Depends on what
Warp drive active.
happens. So next we have a Dominix Navy. Now in the last week we actually found 2 logged off ships, an Abaddon and the Dominix Navy. Well, I guess I guess it will continue with the Domi navies. There's another one, got caught in space logging out on the gate. Again, very funny that so many ships, and I have to say something just to make a little comparison between now and a long time ago. I can safely say that I have noticed a lot more players now in LowSec than before. There was a time when roaming, was actually at the start, early days of the game, early days of scanning, and before that, you actually could find a lot of ships in LowSec. You could find a lot of ships running missions back in the day. Then after scanning, that kind of died down, and after scanning got pretty popular, most of the players went either went to deep nullsec or went to lowsec, or went to highsec. My apologies. But now lately, I'm actually seeing a lot more activity in lowsec, which is very nice. I mean, it's very nice because now we can actually roam and have a lot of fun while roaming. That's a good catch though. 11.9 billion Domi Navy. That's a wonderful catch. So that's what I'm saying. Right after scanning and a couple months and a year after scanning, LowSec, you could say that LowSec was quiet a little bit. You could still find players running missions, but it was on the rare side. Now you can actually find a lot of players when you are roaming. Now this is the Apocalypse Navy, and I scanned the ship down, sitting in space basically. They do appear in local, so I don't really think that they are logged out. I personally have no idea what happened or what's going on. Maybe they have timer, maybe not. I have no idea. In any case, we will go and we will engage the Apocalypse Navy. You know, I actually first thought that it could have been a bait, perhaps, you know, but at the same time I just looked, and 10 million kilometers from the gate, yeah, that's kind of what happens when you log out in space and your ship just warps in space, and if you have timer, then your ship doesn't disappear. So, the Apocalypse Navy has been engaged. I will orbit at about 29 kilometers. I'm flying the Enforcer again. You will see me flying a bunch of ships in this video, after all, as usual. It's not usually one ship, but a bunch of them, so that's fine. And the Apocalypse Navy has been destroyed. Let's take a look at the wreck and let's take a look at the ship that we caught. Yeah, that Apocalypse was definitely logged out. Oh, some decent loot. Okay, I'll take it. And time to warp out and cloak.
Warp drive active.
Well, the Enforcer can definitely serve as a ship for scanning and for tackling. You just have to be, I guess, careful with what you're actually doing with the ship. Not 14.1 billion is not bad. This Apocalypse had some tier 4 rigs, I assume. That's why the price was higher than usual. Definitely a good catch. Next, we have another sleepy Apocalypse. You can't make this up. Like, it's funny because this is like the third Navy battleship today that logged out in space. Well, let's see if we can catch it. I mean, usually you can catch them very easily. 30 seconds is a long time.
Warp drive active.
And there is the Apocalypse already tackled. Well, let's just open fire, I guess. And let's orbit. There we go. I kinda wish that I had torpedoes on this ship, but you know, this will work as well. After all, a long-range build relies on range, and with torpedoes I am not going to have any range. Apocalypse is in armor. Sometimes, as we have seen last time, they do wake up, and this is why you kind of want to blow the ship up before they wake up, especially if you aren't really a tanky ship. Sometimes you have to rely on the surprise moment. And there goes the Apocalypse. Destroyed. Let's take a look at the... That looks like a Thermo 2 nanocore. Well, we will see that in a moment. Once I go and click on the Apocalypse mail. Let's go and take a look at what we caught here. That's a good one. 9.8 billion. Oh, weapon scrambler. Yeah, it's a decent one. Decent value, beam lasers, as usually. It's pretty much the classic build for an Apocalypse Navy, one of the more popular PvE ships in the game. Well, as expected after all. And even to this day, so many years after implants have been released, the Apocalypse Navy is still one of the more popular PvE ships, although you still will have a lot of other ships for that purpose. Next we have a Meridan. Well, let's slowly approach the Meridan. I'm flying the Stratios now. Oh, seems the Meridan has already been tackled. Okay, so I can just rush towards and just launch the drones, since this is the Stratios. Scrambled in a couple moments. Yeah, there we go. Meridan has been destroyed because of bombard. I remember back in the day when engaging a Meridan used to be scary, especially if you have a faction cruiser or something like that, or an RB, as I used to roam with the RB. The Meridan could potentially be a very deadly ship, especially before implants and before all that stuff was actually in the game. That ship was honestly a menace because it could repair a lot and it could also deliver some very scary DPS. Next we have a Prophecy Command. Now, when it comes to Prophecy, these ships are definitely on the more scary side of things. Even with a Stratus, you know, I kind of have second thoughts when I want to engage a Prophecy, especially if I'm flying something that the Prophecy can also one hit with bombard. You have to remember that Prophecy has drones, and Prophecy can have bombard, and Prophecy can also be quite tanky, so it is definitely a ship that should not be underestimated, because I do have one. I do fly a Prophecy to command, I use it occasionally, and that thing can pop faction cruisers with bombard, because I think it can have like 25,000 DPS or something with bombard. 2 cycles of bombard with that amount of DPS, no cruiser will stand that. So when you have these ships as target, you really have to be careful with what you're doing. In the worst case scenario, which is usually what's the most common scenario, the player that hits the implant button first usually wins, unfortunately. I wish that it were more like, you know, skill related, but at the moment, who gets to the button first basically wins, or who surprises who first basically wins. This is why if you are running a storyline mission, if someone is hunting you, you are at a disadvantage, unless of course you play a little bit smart and, you know, take range, keep range, are always aligned. Then you do have a good chance of surviving or even destroying the enemy ship if they mess up. So then there is ways to handle and counter these things, but the options are pretty much limited, and I think by now everyone knows what the options are and the tactics. After all, there isn't much else to PvP nowadays. Basically slap as much DPS as you can, maybe an afterburner, maybe a micro warp drive, and maybe a damage control, maybe an extender or adaptive, and there we go. That's the most common average PvP hunting build that you'll find in the game. 99.99% of players use a variety of that build. Those tanky combat long duration battle builds are kind of on the extincting side, or should I say they're kind of getting extinct slowly but surely. Even super capitals or even some
Warp
of
drive
the
active.
dreadnoughts no longer have a tanky build, but just glass basically, with minimal to no defenses. But we are actually, I'm going in for the Prophecy. Now there is the danger for the bomber, because the Prophecy does have medium drones and obviously assault medium drones at that, so the fast ones. In this case, I will have to engage the target myself. Now when I looked at the ship, I saw no nanocore, so I kind of thought to myself, oh okay, the ship does have some expensive drones, but I don't really believe that the ship will be much of a threat anymore, because I see no nanocore, and when I looked at the player the account age, basically the creation age. The account is fairly fresh, so I personally don't really think that this prophecy has a lot of advanced skills for the ship, and I suspect that it will be a very easy target. So let's engage and let's see what happens. Scrambled, drones have been launched, orbiting at 0. I have a micro warbriv as well, which is funny. Usually I have an afterburner for the ship, but in this case it is a micro warbriv, and the prophecy has been destroyed. It turns out that the ship wasn't much of a big threat after all, but again, I'm not going to underestimate a drone boat with bombard implant being a thing. So in such a case, you have to basically be careful, and you have to analyze the situation and decide whether it's a good idea to attack or whether it's not a good idea to engage the target. In this case, it was a good idea. It was a very good idea. Okay, so let's wait out the timer and let's see, 438 million ISK. Well, 3 out of 4 drones dropped. I am not going to complain. But as I said before, yeah, it wasn't much of a threat. That ship wasn't much of a threat after all in the end. But again, not going to underestimate the prophecy. I learned my lesson with prophecies, especially after flying them myself. Okay, next we have I think we have a Raven Navy. We have wait a second. We had a Dominix Navy, a Raven, a Dominix Navy, Apocalypse Navy, now a Raven Navy. Okay, we almost had all of the Navy battleships log out in space. We haven't seen the Tempest Navy that often. That ship is a little bit rare, which is interesting. I used to fly one, super tanky by the way. There is the Raven, also logged out. Now the fun part about this Raven. We were maybe waiting around an hour or two, just creeping around, you know, waiting for this Raven to log out. And we were just chilling, and all of a sudden the ship vanished, and here we are. Now, the Raven can be a tanky, dangerous ship, especially if built properly. So we just hope that the ship does not wake up, because if it does wake up, well, we could potentially be in trouble. So we are trying to blow the Raven up as quickly as we can. I can see that I have a little bit more DPS now with the Stratus than with the Enforcer. I can definitely feel the difference in DPS. Especially with Bombard. Those 2 Bombard cycles really do help a lot with basically destroying something very fast. I've been thinking maybe I should take a Dominix Navy for a spin, you know, but I kind of don't really like to fly that thing too much. I mean, it's not a bad ship, it's just slow, and I just don't really like to roam with battleships, because why would I roam with a battleship when I can fly a cruiser, which is faster and honestly more fun. And the Raven got destroyed. Time to cloak. And that's a gold nanocore, that's for sure, but the main question would be, what's the value? 9.5 billion, not bad. Torpedo, DPS build, PvE, classic PvE build for this ship, I would say. That's a lot of stabs. A thermocore as well, that's a very nice catch indeed. Well, that's lovely. Another sleepy Navy ship got caught sleeping. I don't know. This happens way too often. I'm not complaining. We do get some very tasty ships on the menu, that's for sure. Now, next we have a retriever. I actually initially thought that this could have been a bait retriever, and then I saw the lasers, and I said to myself, okay, yeah, it's definitely not a bait. I actually need to get a retriever for myself as well, and basically build that thing for combat, build that thing for PvP, and then just yeet that thing around. Will be pretty funny to drop a retriever on a Cyansea carrier or something like that, or on a battleship. It would be even funnier if I could get a kill with that thing. I mean, I actually thought to do something pretty funny, take a Neros too for a spin, build it for for DPS, or no, not for DPS, build it for tank, you know, or for DPS, depends on what I need, and then just use that thing to roam around. It would be pretty funny. Would honestly be really funny. And it's also a very fast ship. I really need to make a pretty funny troll ship, and to use that funny troll ship for combat. I think that could potentially be really hilarious to do. Well, that retriever just learned not to be mining in this system. And the Stratius became a ship for alternative mining. Although for that purpose I have Adventure 4, which is a ship that is literally for alternative mining. Okay, that got destroyed, and now let's go and cloak. It's a good thing that I have a cloaking device on this thing. It's a very good core tops.
Warp drive active.
The best core tops, I would say, because drones, it's able to. I think I might get an nano core for this ship. I'm just not sure which one, and maybe. Actually, I don't know. I'll have to think about that. Anyway, that was a good catch. Now we have a Procurer now, and I took the same ship for a spin because I forgot
Warp drive active.
The Procurer can actually be quite valuable, and maybe I get lucky and I get some expensive mining lasers I can sell afterwards. And yeah, I could take the battle logger for this ship, but I just did not want to risk them warping off now. I had a bunch of ships warp off with tons of stabs, so I just, you know what, if there is a risk of stabs, I'll just take Bombard Stratus and I'll just go and eat something with that. It gets the job done, that's the most important thing. We are getting closer and closer, creeping up slowly to the mining ship. And yeah, just a little bit more. I'm waiting to be within Scrambler range. Just a little bit more. Almost 13 kilometers within range, and let's go after it. Focusing fire, orbiting at 0. Bombard loaded. And well, that's a big hit. Well, mining ship destroyed. They did warp out fairly quickly, so if I had any other ship, there's a good chance that they would have warped off. So it's a good choice that I took the Stratius for this particular target. Oh wait, that's fast. I got a new message. Oh, I wonder what could it potentially be. It's well, it's salt. All right.
Warp drive active.
No, I didn't. Well, I guess there's some salt at the end of the video, or actually, no, it's not the end of the video. There's still more time. There's still more stuff going to happen. Okay, well, that Procurer seems to be a little mad. Then there is more messages coming in. But first, let's take a look at what I have destroyed. The 307 million ISK, dual propulsion and point and a web. That's interesting. Well, that's interesting. And what's the next message? Okay, they just repeat the same thing. Alrighty then. I'll just write the same thing as well, and we will see what happens next, I guess. So, been waiting, and we've been waiting, still on timer, and they returned. We guess with what? A Gnosis training ship. So they want to get revenge, and they took a training ship versus a Stratius. Okay, let's follow and let's see what happens next.
Warp drive
Yes.
active.
My timer is over, so I will actually let the Gnosis take aggro so that they become red. That's going to be even funnier if that happens. But seems they are no longer in this asteroid field or belt. Okay, well let me go and I have a scanner. I almost forgot I have a scanner on this thing. So let me see, where are they? 3.99. Well, there's actually, yeah, there's this 3.99. Let's go in 40 kilometers. I guess we are playing a little game of catch the Gnosis, or maybe the Gnosis palette is playing catch the Stratius. I have no idea.
Warp drive active.
And are they in that asteroid belt? We're about to find out. Okay, landing and nothing here. Okay, 5.56, 5.55 actually. Okay, going over there to the next asteroid belt or field or cluster.
Warp drive active.
Maybe this time they will be there. We will find out. Oh, they are then. They are at 0. Okay. Actually, I should have taken my own Gnosis for this target. It would be pretty funny. Gnosis versus Gnosis. All right, let's see what happens. Are they going to engage first? As I mentioned before, my goal would be for the Gnosis to take aggro first. But seems they are not doing anything. Okay, well, I'll just open fire then. I don't want them to change their mind and I don't want them to warp off. Well, as we have already kind of expected this to happen.
We're under attack.
The Gnosis training ship got blown up, so yeah. Revenge sometimes isn't the best thing to do. But oh well, we do get a funny encounter, so I am not going to complain. Okay, let's leave the asteroid and let's cloak. There we go. Let me just quickly turn off some of the things here that I don't need. There we go.
Warp drive active.
Well, let's take a look at the Gnosis build. I'm interested to see what kind of build we had on that ship. 257 million disc. Oh, that's a cursed one. Yeah, that's definitely not a build that I would use for PvP. That's absolutely not what I would actually use for any type of combat. The game is like 5 years old now and we still see builds like that. That's really... That is really scary when you think about it. Or should I say, no, not exactly scary, but I don't know, weird to see that. Next we have a tornado. Alright. Tornado means time for the Stratius. After all, my favorite, one of my favorite snacks with the Stratus is a sniping battlecruiser. Very easy to approach them, very easy to orbit them, and very fun to destroy them. Okay, seems they are maybe, I would say, 80-90 kilometers from the gate or something like that.
Warp drive
which
active.
means I will go warp to the gate and then warp back at 100 and then perhaps we get lucky, or we may need a fourth scrambler. We will find out very soon. Let's go at, I don't know, 70 kilometers. Maybe that's too low, maybe not. In any case, we will be finding that out very soon.
Warp drive active.
Yeah, I am cloaked. I have a plate. I forgot to remove it, but you know, the plate can work with a Stratos just fine. A little bit less DPS, but that's not going to be a big deal. Drones are set at a 4-kilometer orbit. Well, that was actually a perfect warping, so they haven't been at 90. They have been about 80 kilometers from the gate. Okay, let's just go after the tornado. Scrambled. Drones are out, and then the next thing that we see happen, the tornado is destroyed. Well, that was fast. That was definitely fast. Let's get pod if possible, and then we will warp out. Okay, pod destroyed. Time for us to warp out. That's a good catch. That was a good catch. So, we are nearing the end of the video. It was a very good run, actually. We found a lot of ships, a lot of big ships.
Warp drive active.
It's pretty funny to see ships just log out in space in LowSec like that. They're very easy ships to catch like that. And honestly, I cannot wait to see what ships we catch next. But with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. If you would like to support me, feel free to like and subscribe. And with that being said, stay safe, fly safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.